Imagine this. A mayor's daughter strolls into a Nordstrom department store and walks out with nearly $8,000 worth of luxury merchandise, Gucci handbags, designer heels, and jewelry, all stuffed casually into her tote bag. When store security finally stops her, she doesn't panic. She smirks. Her exact words? "My father runs this city. You can't touch me." 19 years old, dripping in entitlement, and live streaming to her friends about how easy it is to get free designer stuff. But the moment she steps into Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom, she expects her last name and her father's political power to wipe the charges clean. Only this time, the truth hits harder than any sentence she imagined. Security footage plays. The courtroom watches her stuffing merchandise into her bag while bragging on camera. And then the entire room gasps when her father, the mayor himself, stands up to speak. What he says next will end his political career and change his daughter's life forever. This moment becomes one of the most shocking displays of integrity Providence has ever witnessed. A father choosing honesty over power and accountability over protecting a child who refuses to accept responsibility. Stay with us, because what happens next proves that justice still exists, and sometimes the hardest lessons come from the people who love us the most. It's a Friday morning in Providence Municipal Court. Judge Frank Caprio reviews a case that has dominated local news for the past week. Olivia Bennett, age 19, daughter of Providence Mayor Richard Bennett, charged with grand larceny, shoplifting merchandise valued over $5,000, and intimidation of retail security personnel. The incident occurred 10 days ago at Nordstrom in Providence Place Mall. Security camera footage and loss prevention reports tell a story of brazen entitlement and calculated theft. Olivia Bennett entered Nordstrom at 2:45 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon. She was carrying a large designer tote bag and wearing expensive clothes. She appeared to be a typical high-end shopper, but what she did over the next 47 minutes was anything but typical shopping. Security footage shows Olivia moving through the store systematically. She picked up a Gucci handbag worth $2,400, examined it briefly, then placed it in her tote bag without looking around. She moved to the shoe department, tried on a pair of Christian Louis Vuitton heels worth $1,295, put them back in the box, and placed the box in her bag. She browsed designer sunglasses, selecting 3 pairs of Chanel frames totaling $1,680 and casually dropped them into her purse. But here's what makes this case particularly shocking. Throughout the theft, Olivia was on FaceTime with friends, showing them what she was taking. Audio captured by her own phone, later recovered by police, shows her laughing. "Watch this. I'm getting all this stuff for free. Being the mayor's daughter has perks. Nobody's going to stop me." Loss prevention officer Marcus Johnson had been watching Olivia on security cameras from the moment she entered. He
documented everything. When she attempted to exit the store without paying, having accumulated $870 worth of merchandise in her bag, he approached her at the entrance. "Excuse me, miss, I need you to come with me to the security office." Olivia's response, captured on body camera, "No, I don't think so. Do you know who I am?" Marcus explained that he witnessed her placing unpaid merchandise in such as her bag and needed to resolve the situation. Olivia's response escalated immediately. "My father is Mayor Richard Bennett. He runs this city. You're making a huge mistake. I'll have your job by tomorrow. Let me leave right now or you'll regret it." Marcus remained professional. "Miss, regardless of who your father is, I observed you taking merchandise without paying. You need to come to the security office." Olivia tried to push past him. When he blocked her path, she screamed loudly, "This man is assaulting me! Someone called the police! He's attacking the mayor's daughter!" Other shoppers stopped and stared. Some pulled out phones to record. Nordstrom's staff rushed over. The situation was escalating rapidly. Providence police arrived within minutes. When officers asked Olivia to show them the contents of her bag, she refused. "I want to call my father first. You can't search my property without his permission." The officers explained that her father's permission wasn't required, that probable cause existed based on the loss prevention officer's observations. Olivia finally opened her bag. Inside were items with Nordstrom security tags still attached. The Gucci handbag, the Louis Vuitton shoes, the Chanel sunglasses, plus additional items Marcus hadn't even noticed. A $950 wallet, $820 worth of cosmetics, and a $1,330 file silk scarf. Total value, $8,007. When arrested, Olivia's first call was to her father. The conversation, partially recorded on police body camera audio, was telling. "Daddy, I'm at Nordstrom. There's been a misunderstanding. These people don't understand who I am. You need to come fix this." Mayor Richard Bennett arrived at the police station 30 minutes later. Officers expected him to demand his daughter's immediate release, to threaten political consequences, to use his position. Instead, he asked to see the security footage. After watching it, he said something that surprised everyone. "Charge her with whatever is appropriate. She did this. She needs to face it." Now, 10 days later, Olivia Bennett enters Judge Caprio's courtroom wearing expensive designer clothes. Ironically, a Gucci outfit that cost more than what she attempted to steal, and an expression suggesting she believes this will all blow over. Her attorney, Stephen Walsh, from a politically connected law firm, walks beside her with paperwork prepared to minimize consequences. Behind them, maintaining distance, is Mayor Richard Bennett. He's not sitting in the gallery with supporters. He's not standing with his daughter. He's sitting alone in the back row, looking exhausted and deeply troubled. Judge Caprio notices this immediately. A father not standing with his daughter in court is unusual. It suggests something significant.
If you're not subscribed, hit that button right now, because what happens next will show you what real parental accountability looks like. The bailiff calls the case. Judge Caprio reviews the charges: grand larceny, shoplifting merchandise valued over $5,000, intimidation of security personnel. Olivia's attorney stands quickly. "Your Honor, my client is a 19-year-old first-time offender from a respected family. This appears to be a misunderstanding that escalated unnecessarily. Ms. Bennett is willing to pay restitution and perform community service to resolve this matter without a criminal record." Judge Caprio looks at Olivia. "Ms. Bennett, your attorney characterizes this as a misunderstanding. Can you explain what was misunderstood?" Olivia shifts uncomfortably. "Your Honor, I thought I could pay for everything at once at the end. I didn't realize I needed to pay for each item separately. It was confusing." Judge Caprio picks up the security report. "Miss Bennett, the footage shows you placing items directly into your personal bag, not a shopping basket. You were on FaceTime, telling friends you were getting free stuff. That doesn't sound like someone planning to pay." Olivia's face flushes. "I was joking with my friends. They know I wasn't serious." Judge Caprio asks the clerk to play the security camera footage. The courtroom watches as Olivia systematically moves through the store, taking items worth thousands of dollars, placing them in her bag, never approaching a register. The footage shows her checking around to see if anyone is watching, then quickly stuffing merchandise into her bag. Then comes the audio from her FaceTime call, played from her own phone, that police obtained with a warrant. "Watch this. I'm getting all this stuff for free. Being the mayor's daughter has perks. Nobody's going to stop me. If they try, I'll just tell them who my dad is." The courtroom is silent. Olivia looks mortified. Her attorney looks uncomfortable. In the back, Mayor Bennett puts his head in his hands. "Miss Bennett," Judge Caprio says, "that doesn't sound like someone who intended to pay." Olivia tries to recover. Your Honor, I say stupid things sometimes. I didn't actually mean I wasn't going to pay. You told security your father runs the city and you'd have his job. You screamed that he was assaulting you. Were those also things you didn't mean? Olivia has no good answer. I was panicking. Judge Caprio calls Marcus Johnson, the loss prevention officer, to testify. Marcus describes watching Olivia, her systematic theft, her aggressive response when confronted, her threats using her father's position. Mr. Johnson, has anyone from the mayor's office contacted you or your employer about this case? Marcus nods. Yes, Your Honor. The day after the arrest, I received a call from someone claiming to be from the mayor's communications office, asking if we really wanted to pursue this matter against the mayor's family. I reported the call to my supervisor and to police. Judge Caprio's expression hardens. Someone from the mayor's office attempted to pressure you? That's what they claimed.
Yes, sir. Though when police investigated, Mayor Bennett himself apparently had no knowledge of the call. It appears someone on his staff acted independently. Judge Caprio makes a note. He calls Detective Sarah Chen, who investigated the case, to testify about Olivia's behavior during arrest. Your Honor, Ms. Bennett was combative throughout. She repeatedly stated that her father would fix this, that the officers would lose their jobs, that we didn't understand who we were dealing with. She showed no remorse, only anger at being caught. Judge Caprio reviews all the evidence. Then he does something unexpected. He addresses the back of the courtroom. Mayor Bennett, would you please come forward? Richard Bennett stands slowly and walks down the aisle. Every eye in the courtroom follows him. He looks like a man carrying an enormous burden. Mayor Bennett, I understand you viewed the security footage at the police station. Is that correct? Yes, Your Honor. And what was your response after viewing it? Mayor Bennett's voice is heavy with emotion. Your Honor, I told the officers to charge my daughter appropriately. What I saw in that video was theft, clear, intentional theft. And worse, I saw my daughter using my position, my office, as a shield for criminal behavior. Judge Caprio asks carefully, Mayor, are you here today to ask this court for leniency for your daughter? What Mayor Bennett says next stuns the entire courtroom. No, Your Honor. I'm here to ask you to hold her fully accountable. My daughter has grown up with privilege. She's grown up as the mayor's daughter with access to resources most people don't have. But somewhere along the way, she learned that privilege meant she could do whatever she wanted without consequences. That's my failure as a father, and it ends today. Olivia whispers urgently, Dad, what are you doing? Mayor Bennett doesn't look at her. He continues addressing Judge Caprio. Your Honor, I've spent 12 years in public service. I've worked to make Providence better, to serve all residents equally under the law. I can't continue that work while my own daughter believes she's above that same law. So after this hearing, I'm going to announce my resignation as mayor, effective in must-sim 30 days. The courtroom erupts in shocked whispers. Reporters scramble to type. Olivia stands up crying, Dad, no, you can't! Mayor Bennett finally looks at his daughter. Olivia, I can and I will. You used my office to threaten people. You told them I'd protect you from consequences. You were right. I could probably make this go away politically, but I won't. Because being your father means teaching you that actions have consequences, even if it costs me everything I've built. He turns back to Judge Caprio. Your Honor, my daughter needs to learn what most people learn much younger, that stealing is wrong, that privilege doesn't excuse criminal behavior, that our last name doesn't place us above the law. Whatever sentence you determine is appropriate, you have my complete support. In fact, I ask you to sentence her as you would any other 19-year-old who stole $8,000 worth of merchandise and threatened retail workers. Judge Caprio's voice is gentle with the mayor, but firm with the situation. Mayor Bennett, I appreciate your integrity. What you're doing takes courage that most parents don't have. He turns to Olivia. Miss Bennett, your father just resigned from a position he's held for 12 years because of your actions. Do you understand the severity of what you've done? Olivia is sobbing. I didn't want him to resign. I didn't think it would go this far. "What did you think would happen, Miss Bennett?" Judge Caprio asks. "You stole $8,000 worth of merchandise. You threatened security. You used your father's position as a weapon. What exactly did you think the consequences would be?" Olivia has no answer beyond tears. Judge Caprio reviews the evidence one final time. Security footage proves intentional theft. Audio proves premeditation and knowledge of wrongdoing. Her threats to Marcus Johnson prove intimidation. Her father's testimony proves pattern of using privilege inappropriately. The sentence Judge Caprio delivers is comprehensive. For grand larceny, $5,000 fine and 1 year probation with strict conditions. For shoplifting over $5,000, additional $3,000 fine and 200 hours community service at Providence Community Food Bank, where she will help families who struggle to afford necessities while she stole luxuries. For intimidation, additional $2,000 fine and mandatory anger management and entitlement awareness counseling. She must pay full restitution to Nordstrom, $8,570. For merchandise, she is banned from all Nordstrom locations nationwide for 5 years. Total monetary impact, $18,470 plus attorney fees. Total community service, 200 hours helping families in need. Total consequence, criminal record, probation restrictions, and the knowledge that her actions ended her father's career. But Judge Caprio adds one more requirement. Olivia must write a public letter of apology to Marcus Johnson, to Nordstrom staff, and to Providence residents, who trusted her father's leadership, explaining what she did wrong and what she's learned. Olivia's attorney starts to object about the public nature of the apology, but Mayor Bennett speaks up. "Your Honor, she'll write the letter and I'll make sure it's genuine, not lawyer-written." As the hearing concludes, Mayor Bennett approaches Marcus Johnson, who has been sitting in the gallery. "Mr. Johnson, I want to apologize personally. My daughter threatened you. Someone from my office apparently tried to pressure you. That's inexcusable. You were doing your job. You should never have been put in that position." Marcus shakes his hand. "Mayor Bennett, what you did today, choosing accountability over protection, that takes real character. Your daughter is lucky to have you as a father, even if she doesn't understand it yet." 3 days later, Mayor Richard Bennett holds a press conference announcing his resignation. The statement he gives becomes national news. "I've spent 12 years serving Providence. I'm proud of what we've accomplished, but I cannot continue to lead the city while my daughter believes that being the mayor's daughter places her above the law. When she stole merchandise and threatened retail workers using my position, she didn't just commit a crime. She betrayed the public trust I've worked to build. As a father, my job is to teach my daughter accountability, even if it costs me my career. Effective 30 days from today, I resign as mayor of Providence." The response is overwhelming. Approval ratings for Mayor Bennett surge to record highs. Editorials praise his integrity. Citizens organize rallies asking him to reconsider, but he refuses. He meant what he said. Olivia begins her community service 2 weeks later at the Providence Community Food Bank. Week 1, she's bitter, resentful, going through the motions. Week 4, she starts interacting with families who come for food assistance. She meets a single mother who works 2 jobs but still struggles to feed her children. She meets an elderly veteran who must choose between medication and groceries. Week 8, something shifts in Olivia. She meets a 16-year-old girl who wants to go to college but works after school to help support her family. The girl recognizes Olivia. "You're the mayor's daughter. My mom loved your dad. She said he really cared about people like us. I'm sorry he had to resign because of what happened." Olivia breaks down. For the first time, she understands the real impact of her actions. It wasn't just about stealing merchandise. It was about betraying people who trusted her father.
4 months after sentencing, Olivia completes her community service hours, but continues volunteering. She writes her public letter of apology, and this time it's genuine. I stole $8,000 worth of merchandise because I thought being the mayor's daughter meant I could do whatever I wanted without consequences. I threatened a security guard who was just doing his job. I used my father's position as a weapon. I was entitled, selfish, and wrong about everything. My father resigned from a job he loved because I betrayed the trust Providence gave our family. He chose to hold me accountable instead of protecting me. That was the greatest gift he could give me, even though I didn't understand it at the time. I've spent 4 months working at the community food bank. I've met families who work harder than I've ever worked and still struggle. I've learned that privilege is not permission. I've learned that my last name doesn't make me special. My actions do. And my actions were shameful. To Mr. Johnson, the security guard I threatened, I'm sorry. You deserved respect, not intimidation. To Nordstrom staff, I'm sorry. You deserve to work without being stolen from and abused. To the people of Providence, I'm sorry my actions cost you a mayor who truly cared about this city. I can't undo what I did, but I can become someone different, someone who earns respect instead of demanding it. The letter goes viral. Comments are mixed, but many acknowledge her sincerity while still condemning her actions.
Apparent growth. 6 months after the incident, Mayor Bennett has left office. His replacement, chosen in a special election, has asked him to stay involved in city planning. Richard Bennett spends his newly available time with Olivia, rebuilding their relationship on a foundation of honesty rather than enabling. One evening, Olivia asks her father, "Dad, why did you resign? You could have kept your job. You could have minimized what I did." Richard looks at his daughter. "Olivia, if I'd protected you from consequences, I would have failed you as a father. You needed to learn that actions matter, that privilege isn't permission, that nobody is above accountability. Would you have learned that if I'd made your charges disappear?" Olivia thinks about this. "No, I would have kept doing whatever I wanted, knowing you'd fix it." "Exactly. I love you too much to let you become that person. So I chose you over my career. I chose the father you needed over the father you wanted." 1 year after her sentencing, Olivia has completed all requirements. Her criminal record will remain, but she's building something better. She's enrolled in community college. She volunteers regularly at the food bank. She's learning to live without using her last name as currency. Former Mayor Bennett steps once again into Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom. This time, not as a public figure defending his office, but as a father standing beside his daughter for her probation review. Judge Caprio looks at them with the same calm, steady presence that has defined his entire career. "Mayor Bennett," he begins, "what you did last year wasn't just rare, it was remarkable. You put fatherhood before politics. You chose integrity over image. That is what real leadership looks like." Then he turns to Olivia. "Ms. Bennett, 12 months ago, you stood here convinced that your last name would shield you. Today, you stand here having learned that who you are matters more than what family you come from. That's growth. And that's something to be proud of." Before we continue, make sure you subscribe to Case Closed, the channel that brings you real stories where entitlement meets accountability and where justice isn't just delivered, it transforms lives. Judge Caprio continues, his voice warm but firm, the voice that built his legacy. In this courtroom, privilege never outranks responsibility. Connections don't outweigh character. And the only thing that truly defines you is the choices you make when no one is watching. He pauses, letting the weight of the moment settle. Your father paid a price for doing the right thing, a price most people wouldn't dare pay. But that sacrifice wasn't a loss. It was an investment in your future, in your character,
and in the woman you are becoming. Olivia lowers her head, tears welling, because she knows he's right. This moment, this lesson, is bigger than a shoplifting charge. It's about the truth that privilege does not erase wrongdoing. That some parents love their children enough to let them fall. That real leadership starts at home. And that Judge Caprio, through decades on the bench, has always stood for one thing above all: justice with humanity, discipline with compassion, accountability with dignity. Olivia Bennett walked into a Nordstrom believing her father's position made her untouchable. She walked out of this courtroom months later, understanding that the greatest gift a parent can give isn't protection from consequences, but the strength to rise after facing them. That's justice. That's parenting. And that's the legacy Judge Caprio leaves behind. One lesson, one case, one changed life at a time. If you believe more people need to hear stories like this, hit that like button, share this video, and drop a comment. Did Olivia deserve a second chance? This is Case Closed, where the truth stands tall and justice speaks for itself.